Hi, welcome back to this brief tutorial of TVed. This is part 2. This one we're going to discuss how to build a very simple base and to make it capture the flag multiplayer. We're going to move over to the corner here, and I'm not going to go into all the brushes, the builder brushes and stuff. I'm just going to create it, and maybe you can learn a little bit as I do this. So now right click on the cylinder here. I'm going to set its properties. Give it 12 sides and build it. Close that. When I right click here on the terrain, move the builder brush over, and before I add it, I'm going to select a texture and go to my level. And I don't have the texture I want, so I have to open it up. Let's say Blood Eagle base. And click on all, scroll down, and look for something that looks like a base texture. That looks good. And I'm going to add it instead of subtract it, because this terrain zone is one big subtraction zone. Cool, so I'm going to go to the side view. Move this up, add it again, and I'm going to change the builder brush, give its height, say 512. I'll make it hollow, and I'll line it between them, and I'll build that. I'll add it. I'll line this top one here. Great, so there's our basic outline of a base. Now I'm going to add a little hallway. So I'm going to right click on the cube here, a little entranceway. I'll set its height to 400. I'm not exact with these measurements, I'm just trying to go through this. Give it a width of 512 and a breadth of 1040. Zoom in on it from the top, line it up. Oops. Let's do that. I just want the builder brush. And from the side. And I'll subtract this. And everything disappeared, but if I hit the build button again, the terrain will come back. Let me get rid of this builder brush, and there's our base. So we can go inside the base here, and I'll right click on the ceiling. I'll add a light. Add light here. I'll highlight it, right click, choose its properties. The two main settings for light are light color, or not light color, light brightness in the light color. 64 defaults at. That's kind of dark. We'll set it to 90. And in the lighting, we'll change its radius to 90. And I'll exit that, and you don't see it right away, the effect of it. But if I click on the rebuild, the rebuild lighting or build lighting button, the first light bulb, you'll see the effect. Now I'm going to add a little guy in here just to make sure I got the proportions right. So to do that, I'll go to the game classes, or the classes browser up here, and I'll select all, and I'll expand these. I'll go down here where it says pawn, rook, ragdoll, character. I'll highlight that, right click here, and add it. Great, so we have a good proportion, and the base looks pretty good. So right now you'd think, well, let me just add some inventories from the static meshes and all that stuff. But first we have to set some infos. And it's the easy way to remember this is BLTs. Base info, level info, team info, and the spawn tower. The level info is already in there by default from the prefabs. But let's open up from the classes. the base objects, and the game classes. And first thing we'll do is we'll set the team info, and that's in the game classes. So I'm going to unclick all here. I'll go down this drop down, select game classes, and team info Blood Eagle. I'm going to right click. I like to add them near the base that it's assigned to. It doesn't really matter. Great, that's set. I'm going to go back to the base object classes. I'm going to set the base info default. I'm going to right click, I'm going to add it here, and I won't see it. If I go to actor groups, one tab over, click on all actors, there's our base info. Now I'm going to right click on it, choose its properties. I'm going to rename it, which really helps. Beagle for Blood Eagle, and I'll exit that. Next I'm going to go back to the classes tab. I'm going to add the spawn tower. I'm going to highlight that. I'm going to right click here, add base spawn tower here, and there it appears. I'm going to right click on it, choose its properties, and I'm going to change its label, base spawn tower Beagle, and it changes team to the team info that we put in, and the base to the base info we just put in. And great, so the spawn tower is done. Now I'm going to go back to the actor groups. I have to go back to the base info. I'm going to right click, choose its properties, and I have to set the spawn array which we just added, and the team. Great, so that's all done. So now we can add a flag stand and inventories. So let's go back inside the base here. Go back to our classes browser. Let's add the flag first, and we'll do that through the game classes. And we go to flag, capture flag, Blood Eagle, right click, add it. We have to set its properties first. We set the team, and that's the only thing. Now we add the stand. And in the stand, there's you have to set the team, but also up here you have to set this home capturable label. If you don't set this, you'll be able to cap the enemy's flag when your flag isn't on the stand. And we'll just set it to the flag that we just created. Great. So let's just line these up real quick. I'm not going to be exact. Now let's add an inventory. Go back to the classes browser. Go to base objects, base inventory station. I'll expand this. I'll choose a double. I'll right click here and add it. Move it up a little bit. I'm going to rotate it too. And to rotate, I hold down Control and drag with the right mouse button down. Drag the mouse. Move it over. And I'll set its properties too. I have to set its team and its base. Okay, so we got a little base there. Through the game or the base object, you can also set the sensor tower. Let's add a multiplayer start. You'll add, I guess, 16 multiplayer starts or however many you want. You have to add them individually. It's not like T2 where you add a spawn sphere and it would randomize where you'd spawn. You have to actually add individual spawn points. And you could right click on the terrain here and add multiplayer start. It's there by default, but I don't like to do that. I like to go through the classes browser and add it through the game classes. I find it's a little buggy doing it the other way. So multiplayer start default. Right click, I'm going to add it. I'm going to zoom in on it. It's like a little joystick. And you can see the arrow, the direction that you face when you spawn. You can rotate that around. I'll set its properties, the team, oops, and the base up top. Cool. To get the command screen to show on your map, oh, incidentally, wherever you place the spawn tower is where you get that number on the command screen. You can also hide it. There's properties to hide it, or you can put it under the terrain. But so let's go to the build menu, and we'll choose generate map image. And this will give you a big overhead view for the command screen. It puts a texture for that in my level package. There's a current bug with the editor that the last quarter of it is just noise. So we open up the texture browser, we'll go to my level, and we'll see it here on the bottom. Oh, actually half of it is noise, but there's the mountains in the middle. You get the drift. For some people, it does work. Maybe you could send your map to somebody else and have them generate it. I've heard, but for me and a lot of other people, it doesn't work. So let's go back to the classes browser. We're going to go to actor groups, and we'll go to level info, because we did the BLTs. We did the base info, level info we're doing now, and we did the team info already in the spawn sphere. So level info, choose its properties. There's a lot of variables in here to set. We're concerned right now is with the level summary. And before we opened up game classes from the classes browser, and because we did that, we can go to the supported modes here and add. I right clicked on the greater than sign, click add. I'll get this drop down menu here and click mode CTF. The title down here is the title that'll print up top when you load the map. And the screenshot, you have to have that screenshot in the My Level textures package. Let's see if I can import it here. File, import. There, load screen. I'm not going to generate maps. Put it in My Level, and no compression. And so I'm going to highlight that and go back to the screenshot, click on the greater than sign, and click use. And so it's using the load screen from the package My Level. And it stretches it a bit when you load it up. You kind of have to play with it in Photoshop and stuff, but that's how you set that. So that's it. One last just side note here. Sometimes you build a base and it's way too large or way too small, and you want to resize it. And let me highlight this here. I wouldn't highlight the static meshes inside. Just the brushes. I'm not going to worry about that. Now, you think you could go to brush and scale and rescale it, but if I do this, click OK, see how it makes the brushes out of alignment, and that's not what I want. And click undo. The best way to do this that I've found is go to tools, and with just the brushes selected from the base, select scale map, and I'll set the factor here, say twice as large. And the only thing is it moves the brush, but you just set it back, and there it is. And if I click the build button, this would disappear. The shadow's still there. If I click the build all button, actually is what I would want to do now. Lastly, actually let me do that. And the last thing to do after the build all is just to save it as a multiplayer map. And to do that, you just put an MP dash in front of it. And in the level info, when we set the mode to CTF, that enables us, when we host the map, we'll see it in the CTF browser. That's where the setting is. If you don't set that, you won't see it when you try to host it. You can also, by default, the prefab adds a single player start. And so if you just wanted to do that, you could boot up TV and then open up the console and type open and then your map name. Before you did all these, you added all the multiplayer stuff, and it would let you do that. It would let you play the map. But you couldn't use the inventories and stuff like that. So great, and that's it. So we'll just save it as MP tutorial. And that's it. So I hope you enjoyed it, and I'll see you online.